Welcome to another episode of Eberhart Outdoors. I'm stepping out of my realm of what I normally do, because everything I've done has been bow hunting oriented, and this is fishing oriented. I went on a trip with my family, my son John, my wife Gay, my daughter Traci, her husband Dan, and my grandson Asher, and we went on a fly-in trip to Canada, and we absolutely crushed the fish. Because my son Jon and I are the only two really fishermen in the group. It's kind of like watching a TV show, on hunting, where anybody can go and catch fish. Because my daughter caught a 25.5-inch walleye, she caught a 35-inch pike. It's kind of like watching TV where, on the managed properties they hunt, anybody can go there and kill stuff. And that's kind of what these fly-in lakes are like up in Canada, some of them. Now, I've been to quite a few of them over the years, and this is just a fly-in. You fly into a cabin, it's propane heat, propane refrigerator. It's not a lodge. There's no way they're cooking anything. You got to take all your food with you. But it does have a shower, and I'll show that on the video. But it's kind of like anybody that goes to this particular lake could catch fish. That's why I'm doing this on this particular lake. It's the second time I fished it, and both times it's been phenomenal. So I know there's lots of guys that would like to go on fishing trips, fly-in fishing trips, and I'm going to save you some time on research. I'm not getting paid for this. In fact, I told them I was going to do a video on it and it'd probably get 20,000 views, and they still made me buy their t-shirt. They wouldn't even give me a free t-shirt. So I'm not promoting it for money. I'm not getting paid for this. But anyway, I'm going to kind of show what we used. We caught a lot of pike on top water, walleyes jigging. And on top water, we're just using these big prop baits. If they got big props, you just cast them out and reel them across the top, and they spin and buzz, and you'll see it in the video. And then probably our number one bait is this one. I made this. I designed this bait, and I'll show you this one because it's a little easier to see. It's a 1/2 ounce buzz bait with a prop, so when you cast it out, as soon as you start reeling, it'll buzz on the surface of the water. So this is good in like 6 to 10, even 11 foot of water, when it's relatively still on the top. There can be some small waves, ripples, but the flatter it is, the better. And what I did here is, a regular buzzbait like this just has this single hook. Well, with this single hook, you miss a lot of hits because the hook is in line with the single hook is in line with the frame of the bait. So I took a 3/0 treble hook right here, and I cut off the bottom hook, and then I put it on here with some rubber heater hose. These little black things are little chunks of rubber heater hose, and that kind of locks that hook in place, and I put a tail on it. So when you're bringing this across the water, it's coming across the water like this, and right behind the end of the skirt you got this tail hanging down in the water, and it's flapping. And by putting on this trailer hook, it raised my hook percentage from probably 25 to 30% hook percentage to about 80. Big difference, because the hooks go out to the side, so when they hit the bait and flatten it out, because pike have kind of flat heads, they still get those kicker hooks to hook them. So this here's a phenomenal bait. I use this in Michigan. I caught a lot of 40+ inch pike in the summer on this bait. So we use that stuff there for top water. This was another one we used, and most sporting goods stores carry this, and when you reel it, this here spins around and just makes a buzz across the top. And then when we were trolling, my son actually took inline planer boards, but I did some trolling just behind the boat. You don't need planer boards. We're just using diving baits, deep diving baits, because when we're trolling in about 15 to probably 22 foot of water, and the fish are kind of suspended, especially the pike. And these worked real well. Caught a lot of fish trolling, but you need these deep divers. You can't use a standard Rapala with the short bill. You got to have something that dives deep, because when you're in deeper water, the fish are suspended, slightly off the bottom. They're not up in that top tier of 6 to 10 foot of water. And I've been fishing a long time. I've caught a world record steelhead. I've caught every fish there is in Michigan, I think. I was a rep for Berkeley. Johnson, Mitchell, Fenwick, Garcia, Penn, All-Star Rods, Trilene, just about every fishing tackle company there is, I've been a rep over the 30 years I was a sales rep. So I know fishing very well. So we use these deep diving crankbaits, and when we were fishing in shallower water, like casting up, let's say we were out on the lake and we're casting up into shallower water, let's say 6 to 12 feet, and retrieving it back, we were using these smaller baits. This here is a Rapala, and it also is a deep diver, so it kind of goes down pretty fast. And then we also use these rattle trap style baits, and we actually use these for jigging as well. In fact, a couple of times I caught some 24, 25-inch walleyes. I put a split shot on one of each of these hooks so it would drop faster, and then in the wind, as you're just drifting, I was jigging it off the bottom. But you need that extra weight to make sure you can contact the bottom every so often, keep it in that plane right there in that 3 to 4 foot of water on the bottom, because that's where the walleyes are. Walleyes kind of hang out at the bottom. And you catch pike on that as well. And then we used this quite frequently. Anytime it was windy, we use these bottom bouncers. Now these bottom bouncers work really well. What they do, this here is 1.5 ounces. This keeps you in contact with the bottom because it's a lot of lead weight here. And then you just run a crawler harness with a night crawler on it behind it. So when you're drifting across the lake, you know, if it's relatively windy, you can't really use a small jig because you can't keep in contact with the bottom. Your line ends up going too far out from the boat because you're drifting too fast. So when you use this heavy bottom bouncer, basically this just ticks the bottom, and you only want to contact the bottom about every, as you're jigging, contact the bottom about every 6 or 7 jigs up, let it go down and contact bottom. Just make sure you're in that bottom zone of 3 to 4 foot water level at the bottom. And these work great with crawler harnesses. Anybody can catch fish on these. Bottom bouncers and crawler harnesses. And if you don't have bottom bouncers, you can just use lead weights. These are just different lead weights that you can put on a 3-way, at the front of the crawler harness with a crawler. Also used a lot of jigs. And these here 1/4 ounce to 1/2 ounce jigs. I had some up to 1 ounce jigs as well, just to keep in contact with the bottom. I also have some floating jig heads here that I would run off the lead weights. If I was running a lead weight on the bottom, a lot of times I'd put a floating crawler harness behind it. I'd make a floating crawler harness with a floating jig hook at the end with a crawler on it. That way it stays up off the bottom a couple of feet. And then concerning tails, we had a plethora of different colors: white, chartreuses, orange. Some of these longer tails worked really good. These are 3.75-inch tails to hook on a jig. This one here worked really well. Blue fleck with the chartreuse tip on the tail. Probably the best one we've had luck with over the years has been this white 3-inch Berkeley tail. It's actually made for walleyes. So that's about it. The name of the lake was John's Lake, Airedale Fishing and Hunting. And again, I am not endorsing any other lake that these guys go to because they have quite a few lakes that they fly to. I've fished on a couple. But John's Lake is really good. It's easy to fish. The cabin's really nice. The lake is absolutely drop dead gorgeous. The lake's got a lot of structure. It's easy to fish. And if you had some of all of these different kind of baits, depending on the weather conditions, how windy it was, would depend on what you use. So, and I would highly recommend, if anybody's going to go to that lake or any lake in Canada, to get a flat of night crawlers. You can't take them across the border. You can't drive them across the border. You have to buy them up there. But it's about $100 for a flat, and that's 500 night crawlers. And this is something else that's kind of unique that I think everybody should have when you're catching pike. These are mouth spreaders. So when you get a pike and they want to clamp down and they got teeth, you just stick this in their mouth and do that, and this opens their mouth and they can't shut it. This forces their mouth open so you can take the hooks out with your pliers. These are some of the fish we caught. We caught a lot of walleyes over 24 inches long. In fact, we probably caught 30 walleyes between 25 and 28.5 inches. and we probably caught 30 pike between 30 and 35.5 inches. We didn't catch any monster 40-inch pike, but we caught lots of walleyes in the 16 to 24-inch range, several hundred, and we caught several hundred pike in the probably 20-inch to 27-inch range. But we didn't keep any of those, obviously. And because there's a slot limit on the lake, you can't keep walleyes from 16 inches to 24 inches. Those all have to go back. So we had no problem catching our fish to bring home that were over 24 inches. But there's also a deal where, you know, you can bring 3 apiece walleyes home if they're under 16 inches. And we couldn't fill that limit because we just weren't catching fish under 16 inches. I think we brought home 10 out of a possible 18 we could have brought home. We just weren't catching fish under 16 inches. So this is a great lake. We caught hundreds and hundreds of walleyes and pike, and I highly recommend this for anybody, you know, whether it be a family or, you know, if several guys wanted to go up there on a fly-in trip, because the fish here were relatively easy to catch. Even though John and I were the 2 main fishermen that have fished a lot of years and we fish all the time, you know, my daughter and my son-in-law, they don't ever fish, so, and they caught lots of fish. My daughter caught a 25.5-inch walleye, and so did Dan, her husband, and they both caught pike over 30 inches. So this is a lake that anybody can go up there and catch fish. Kind of like the TV deal. Probably at least 50% of the bow hunters in the country could hunt on some of the high-profile TV shows properties and kill the same bucks, or the bigger, even bigger bucks than the TV guys killed, because TV guys, in my opinion, don't know how to hunt very well unless it's totally managed deer coming out into food plots in broad daylight. You know, fish here are easy to catch. There's not a lot of people fishing it, so it's like a managed lake almost, the same as a managed property for deer hunting. You know, you couldn't go to a public lake and fish with braid and catch fish, walleyes on jigs with 20-30 pound braid, but you can do it up there because you know, they don't get fished that much. But it's just a great lake. It's relatively easy to fish. It's a small lake, so you don't get bombarded with heavy winds and blows you off the lake. And I'm not promoting this for anything other than a family or a group of guys that want to go to a lake that it's very productive and they're going to catch fish, and you're going to catch quality fish. To go to a lake like this and catch walleyes pretty consistently over 25 inches, that's rare. That does not happen very often. And pike, lots of pike over 30 inches. And you catch lots and lots of fish between that 16 and 24, 25 inch range as well, but you got to throw those back. I highly recommend using braid. Up in Canada, you can use 20 and 30 pound braid even when you're jigging for walleyes on the bottom. You know, when you're fishing a public lake in the States that gets a lot of fishing pressure, you know, you can't fish braid with heavy braid because it's dark and it's solid. It's not monofilament that you can see through or fluorocarbon. So up in Canada, you can get away with murder on the equipment you use. You can actually use 30-pound braid, so you got less chance of breaking fish off. You know, because they just don't see it. You know, those fish don't get fished that much. So I highly recommend. I think we had braid on every single rod, other than the planer board rods. The inline boards we were using mono, but other than that, everything else was braid. You know, it's just like TV. You know, anybody can go to this lake and catch fish, just like just about any bow hunter that has any knowledge of bow hunting at all could go and hunt some TV property where all the high-profile guys hunt and kill big monster bucks too, because they don't have any pressure and they come out in the daytime. Same deal here. These fish bite all day long. You can use heavy equipment so you don't break your line, and they're not line shy, and they plaster everything, as you will see. There we are with all of our gear. I think we were 300 pounds over. Okay, here's Gay, my wife, on the left, Dan in the middle, my son-in-law, and John on the right, and here we are with 3 walleyes and a northern. So this was day 1 on our first little trip out. So nice fish.
Excellent. What are we going to do, Asher?
Oh,
We're going to go feed the bears our fish guts?
yeah, but I also want to go fishing.
Well, we're going to go fishing. You betcha we're going to go fishing. We're just going to get rid of this first. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Because what did we see earlier? What did we see earlier? We see a bear? Yeah, we see some bald eagles.
Yeah.
So let's go feed them again, okay?
They want to be their friends. We don't try to.
Oh, that we want to be their friends?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're feeding them. We're trying to be their friends.
Yeah, but they're still eagles come in packs. Eagles come with friends.
Okay.
So when they see dead things, they surround. They circle around it in the air.
And then they go down and eat it?
Yep. Then their other friends know. When they see their other friends swooping around,
Yeah.
that's when they know that they're spooked.
Oh, okay.
Now the eagles are sure enjoying the scraps we're putting over here. And we saw a bear come the other day.
There's Gay, my wife, casting for pike with a top water bait that I made. It's a buzz bait. I'll show it to you later. I'll show you how I made that. Old fishing buddy here. 7 foot of water. A little portable graph. You just got a hit.
Yeah. Got that one.
Got him.
I think so.
Pike fishing with top water. Gay just has one here, right there.
Too big.
Not a big one, but not a big one. Okay, Gay has one on a big orange prop bait. Okay, show it. Got it?
Yep.
Pike. A little bit bigger.
Yeah. This one's John's.
Hit me.
Oop. Oh, there goes the lens. Got him that time, I think.
Got him. Yep. Woo-wee! A little pike. Hitting that top water.
Another little one. There he is. Okay. Here's John's first catch of the day.
Day 4.
Slot size, so we can't keep it.
Okay, here's my wife Gay. She's got a walleye on.
Might be a keeper.
On a rattle trap. This one might actually be something we can keep under 16 inches. Believe it or not, we're using steel leaders, and we put some split shot on the hooks to get it to sink faster, so it didn't tangle in the stupid leader because the pike are tearing everything up and losing lures. But I think he's still a little larger than what's legal to keep. We can keep fish 16.1 inches or smaller, and we've already got our limit of 24, 25 inches. So we're only keeping fish that are under 16 inches. It's a walleye. Here's Gay. Got a walleye. Using bottom bouncers out here because it's been pretty windy. Bottom bouncers and crawler harnesses. And she's gonna break that freaking monofilament.
There you go.
There it is.
Oh.
What do you mean, here you go?
There you go.
She's sitting here saying, here you go. Like I'm supposed to do something. Okay, just caught another walleye.
Every time.
Gay's got another walleye. Bring it up to the top.
Oh.
I don't know if we can see it or not. Here.
Get you in the sun.
There we go. These are the boats. Naden, 6-horse Yamahas. Some of our fishing rods here. Six-horse Yamahas. All those leaved out branches are a beaver feeding station, and there's a little beaver over there. It's right outside the cabin. He's going to town on that branch, chewing all the bark off it. I'm just sitting, leaning on the front of one of the boats.
E. F. G.
Hammer handle, probably 27 inches.
Yep.
Little guy. Get out of bed. Sun's up.
Coffee's cooked.
Coffee's cooked. Just like every other morning. Dan's been up since half hour after the crack of day. There's a nice fog on the lake. We'll go do some topwater fishing. She's got one. Turn it to the... There's Gay. She just hooked a pike with the topwater.
Oh, another pike.
Another hammer handle.
Just a little one. Boy, they're all about the same size. John's got one on now.
Another dink.
Another dinky one.
All we're getting now is dinks. Man, we should have been filming on day 1 and 2. Beautiful. Love it. That looks a little feistier.
Same side.
Another pike, 2 casts in a row.
Oop, oop.
Unfortunately, these baits have some serious hooks on them.
Okay, so we're out here after a cold front came through and it rained this morning. It's a little bit nippy out here. Oh, we're jigging. John just got one. Let's see what it is. A walleye. No. Is it a keeper? They got a slot size out here. You can't keep anything under 16.
And I think
Between
he's too big.
16 and 20, or 16 and what? 22.
16, yep.
He's probably over 16.
Yep.
And dang it.
17. 17.
Another
It
one
kinda
goes
sucks.
back in the lake.
We've caught so many fish over 20 to 28 inches walleyes. We're struggling to catch 16 inches. Okay.
I got
They just took.
one. Okay.
What is it?
I think it's a
It's a walleye. Well, that's a good one. Nice walleye. Look at that, guys. Probably a 22 incher, you might guess. Hey, Mr. Loon. Look at him.
I think he likes people. Get bored out here with nothing to do. Okay, John just caught a pike. Oop. On our top lure, it's later in the evening.
There's our buoys up there. There's my wife. She likes the bass fish. She's got a bass on the back of her shirt. Here's my grandson Asher,
Hello.
practicing the drums.
On the can crusher mallet with the
On the
two
can
switches.
crusher mallet he
But-
found.
John got himself into one of them rocks again.
Finally connected with one.
This is the inside of the cabin. Nice little kitchen, big kitchen table. Everything's propane. Propane stove, propane refrigerator, pretty big refrigerator. Got a lot of stuff in there. Running water in the sink from the lake water. And then in here we've just got basically 8 bunks. So this is a cabin for 8. That's my grandson's little tent up there. Isn't that wonderful? My daughter's got a mosquito netting around hers, but there hasn't been any mosquito issues. If you go in July, mid-July through August, there's absolutely no mosquitoes or black fly issues. This is a video of the shower room. Everything's propane. It's got a big water heater. Got a sink. Propane lamp. Mirror. And a pretty decent shower.
through Canada now, and it is beautiful. As you can see, Lake Superior.
Can I have a seat, please? Thank you very much. You too.
Crossing the Mackinac Bridge right now.